Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone. So are you able to see the paint on my screen? Please confirm. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So guys, we are talking about the Palo Alto. Okay. So as you know, this is your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, and it required internet access. Okay, it required internet access to go and fetch the new updates from where? New signatures, new app IDs, those things from this server. What is that server? The server name is, this is not a one server, there are multiple servers. That is called updates dot palo alto dot com. Okay, so this particular server, it is hosted on the internet. This is a public server. So what will happen in our firewall? We have discussed that dynamic updates. Okay, in the dynamic updates, we have antivirus, we have what is called antivirus updates, then vulnerability updates, URL filtering updates, then wildfire updates, and new app IDs. Those updates will be fetched from this. So what will happen? We have set a dynamic update saying that daily 5 o'clock download and install. So every day 5 o'clock, this firewall, it will go to updates.paloaltonetwork.com, where they will have a new signatures, new updates for the day, and it will go here and it will fetch all the information, and it will take in its database. Okay, so as we know, the Palo Alto Networks has, the beauty of Palo Alto Networks is SP3 architecture. Okay, it has three main features. So when we say SP3, means serial pass parallel processing, SP3 architecture. So what are its main stuff of the Palo Alto firewall is? The first is app ID. Second is user ID, and the third one is content ID. Content ID. So please try to understand these all three things. Okay, don't like if you understand these three, then Palo Alto, it is in your pocket. Apart from this, the Palo Alto, creating the policies, creating the interfaces, creating the routing table, creating the NAT policies, then monitoring, uh, software upgrade, high availability, those things, it is common. See, even every firewall does the same thing. Even if you go with any vendor of the firewall, they does the same thing. But this is the unique of the Palo Alto firewall: app ID, application ID, user ID, content ID. Okay, so I will just talk few minutes on app ID, user ID, just to give some backup to like if someone not attended that class. So just we will try to correlate what exactly it's happened. Okay, the first thing. So let's say you have one user here. Okay, one user here sitting on machine, and he is accessing internet. Okay, and in the firewall, we know that this is our outside zone, and this is our inside zone. So inside to outside, obviously Palo Alto block everything, or outside to inside, any zone to any zone traffic, it is block, right? So if you want to allow, then you need a policy, right? That we clearly know. So let's say this IP address is 192.168.10.10, right? So obviously this guy, if he want to go to internet, then obviously it required a NAT, we have seen that source net, because we need to say that because he has to go to public. So we will have a public IP address here. So we will do the pat. We'll say whenever the subnet 192.168, whatever your LAN subnet, this is your LAN. If they want to go outside, so they will go ahead and with pat with this guy. This is a public IP address connected to the outside interface of your firewall. So they will get pat. And you also know that before, like while deployment firewall, what you have done, this is your interface. And actually here I did not created your core switch and all. So here what will happen with your inside, you will have a routing between your core switch and the firewall to get all the routes. Similarly, this is your here you have an internet router. So I did not drawn there because you already know that. So but this is the high level, so outside and inside. So this guy is want to access the internet. That is your main purpose. Okay. So and with that we also understand that our in our initial deployment, we have Active Directory. We have a Active Directory server, AD, Active Directory, or you can say it domain controller or something. So LDAP, let's say LDAP. So this LDAP has to integrate with the Palo Alto firewall. So this is also you need. So you created the interfaces, you created the routing, you have all your networking stuff is ready, you have all the routes, you have Active Directory connected, you also set the dynamic updates to update.paloaltonetwork.com, firewall got upgraded, everything is ready, which we already learned in the past classes. Now, how to use these features? How to use these features? Okay, let's talk about App ID. What will happen? How the okay, this guy, suppose he is accessing the Facebook from the internet. So in your log, in your Palo Alto log, you are going to see this machine is going to access the Facebook application App ID. So how the firewall came to know this is the Facebook? So it happened because in internet, the Palo Alto firewall, they maintain another pedia, that is something called Applipedia. Applipedia, where Applipedia Palo Alto. So what they do is they try to investigate in throughout the world what are the applications going on. Let's say nowadays everything is application. Let's say Uber, Ola, Swiggy, Zomato, your Axis Bank application, your HDFC Bank application, everything is application based, right? So those applications, so app, what they does is they have a research team here. So what they do, they try to see the behavior of the particular application. Let's say what is called HDFC. Okay, this is application. So the every application required some port and some protocol, like some port 443, port 8080, and TCP. So this is the requirement of that particular application. So previously in port based firewalls, we used to give that port, we used to allow that port. So what will happen with that port if you allow? So BitTorrent, that is something one example. So that is like use any dynamic port. So if you open port 80, so BitTorrent can be open for you, which you don't want. But Palo Alto, what they does is with the app ID, they identify the behavior of the particular application, and they does some packet capture on that particular application, and they created some, they fetch some what is called signatures, some match from that particular application, and they added and they created. Okay, this is a Swiggy app. This is a Facebook app. This is a YouTube app. This is this app. So all the app IDs they created, and if you open that app ID, you will see a lot of details there. In app ID contain signatures, and which they also give the risk. What is that? How much risk and all. So what happened? This Palo Alto firewall, when they go take the dynamic updates, so they will all whatever the app IDs they identified so far, some around 3000 plus application Palo Alto know that. So all these app IDs will come to your database. So Palo Alto Firewall, if you go to object, we will go and see there. If you go to object, and in the object tab, there is something called applications. So just if you go there and check, so you will see all the app IDs there, whatever the app ID is. And now the firewall has the app IDs detail. So whenever the user try to go, so firewall will identify the application behavior of the application, and they will detect that, okay, this is the Facebook, this is the YouTube, this is the um, like Microsoft, some application. So like this, they created the app IDs. So okay, for app ID, you no need to do anything. Okay, you don't need to do anything. You just need to by default it is on. Once you get a dynamic update, so that will automatically come to you. You no need to do anything. What you need to do, just you need to add into your policy. In your security policy, you can add the app IDs, whatever you want. Okay, that is the first thing. That is about the app ID. The next thing is user ID. For the user ID, the first condition is you need to integrate your LDAP. You need to integrate your LDAP with the Palo Alto firewall. So what will happen? So this Active Directory contain, what are the Active Directory contain? So it contain users, user ID, usernames. It also contain groups like HR group, IT group, engineering group, right? So like if any user XYZ, some user, he can be part of multiple groups. So those all information will be here. Okay. So we have checked that while integrating app ID, integrating LDAP, we need to create one user ID here, and give our firewall. We need to give the rights our firewall, saying that this firewall can come here and read the security logs of this particular server. And what security log contain? Let's say this user, okay, his some IP address is here, right? So some X user is sitting here, and his IP address is this one. So when he try to when he logged in, so automatically he will go, his logs will come here, and that time the Active Directory, your LDAP server, in its security logs, sorry, in its security logs. So here it will get details. Okay, X user have this particular IP address. B user has this particular IP address. So all the security logs. So we have set some timer saying that our firewall, in every 1 minute, our firewall will go to the LDAP server, and it has the access to read the security logs. Okay, X map to this IP address, Y map to this IP address, C map to this IP address. These details, once you read this one, right? So it will again to come and store in its database. You understand? For app ID, there is a database. Similarly, for user ID, it will also maintain some database. And where for app ID, where they dependent? They dependent on LDAP. If LDAP is wrong, the firewall will get wrong information. So for the app ID, your LDAP should be correct. Similarly, for user ID, and for app ID, if you don't have internet, you will not get the new app IDs. So you have dependency. See, this firewall is integrated with multiple things. So if you want to use the user ID, so your LDAP should be correct, and the firewall should come have access to read the security logs of that particular Active Directory, and they will go and they will fetch. So now the firewall know that this 192.160.10.10 is nothing but the X user. So now you can create the policy. X can go and access Facebook app ID, and you can allow and deny, so that you can start seeing the logs and all. So understand, the app ID, it is depend on the updates.paloaltonetwork.com. User ID, it is depend on the your LDAP. You need like Active Directory integration. So these two features, if you want to use, then you want to integrate these two things. Now, okay, any questions for the app ID and user ID? Are you clear? Are you clear with this? So this is my VM admin. Okay, so if you go to object, and here this side applications, can you see? So this is the place. See, right now it is showing some 2000 application. Okay, but this is my VM. So this VM is not going to updates.palo-alto-network.com and fetching the new things. But if the same thing, if I go Google and check Applipedia, okay, can you see here? It's loading actually. Okay, can you see 3,485 applications are identified from the Palo Alto network.com. Let's say tomorrow, let's check if Uber is there. No. Let's say access. Let's say something called Instagram. Okay, can you see Instagram? So if you want to create a policy on your firewall, you buy app ID for like Instagram, you want to allow some group of user to access the Instagram, then you need to have this Instagram in your firewall. And how you will get it? You buy updates.paloaltonetwork.com. When you set a dynamic updates, the firewall will go and fetch that. So now let's see here if you have Instagram here. Can you see it? Instagram is here. And this particular, if you have this one app ID, then you can use and create this app ID here. You can create here. Okay. Let's say if you go to application, here you can search it. Instagram. Can you see Instagram? Right? So like this now source and this one. Now user, you have the option user. So if your firewall is integrated with the user, then you can create a user here. When you say let's say corp something, so you will get a list of here. But right now this is my VM, it don't connect it to the Active Directory. That's why I'm unable to see some users here. Let's say some XYZ username. So it will automatically it will search and you will get this detail. So now what I'm doing, see how granular control I have. Let's say from inside to this guy is going to outside. Okay, some X user connecting to Instagram and application default. When you say application default, so firewall will see the application behavior. So whenever you identify any application, this on Instagram, if you are using app ID, so you should use the app application default this thing. If you are creating some port based related something, some instead of application you are using some ports or something, so that time you should use any. So what will happen? So if even firewall don't know about that particular app ID, so it will try to see if any service is there, any port, so it will identify that. But app ID, for the best practice, if you're using the app ID, you rely on the Palo Alto. That is called application default. So firewall will see the behavior of that particular application and it will identify, okay, the XYZ, if he is using Instagram, then only it will identify. Otherwise, it will not identify. Okay, so for the user ID, if you remember, recall yourself, user ID, what we do, we require two things. One thing, you need to integrate your LDAP here. Okay, you need to integrate your Active Directory here first, give the this one detail, and here you need to give the username and password. Okay, now it is integrated. Then you can go here and if you remember, if you have a larger organization, so you have option to create user ID agents also. We discuss on that user ID agents. What is the user ID agents? If you don't want to give load on your file LDAP, so what you can do, you can create some small servers and install the user ID agents software there. Okay, and so what will happen, your these user ID agents, they will go to LDAP and fetch all the information, and your firewall will directly go to the instead of going to LDAP, your firewall will go to user ID agents and they will fetch the information. We have discussed this on detail, so how they work. So if you want to create the user ID agents, so you need to go here. You will see in the device user identification, you need to come here. So you will get the option here. Can you see the user mapping? So see, these are the some settings. So enable security logs, can you see? So server log monitoring frequency is 2 seconds. So here you are saying your firewall should go to the server and in every 2 seconds and monitor the security logs, read the security logs. You can give that. Server session read frequency, you have option to probe. See, in every 20 minutes your firewall will probe to server and get the information. Timeout option also available here. So you have option to you can either you can use the default one, or if your organization have some special things, then you can modify these timers also. Okay, but these are the default option you can use. User ID agent, if you have any user ID agents, then you need to go and create here. Let's say name is UID1, sorry, UID dot server.com. Let's say, for example, what is the host? Let's say 10.10.10.10. What is the port? 6007. This is the user ID port it's taking. Just say okay. So what will happen? Can you see right now it's showing amber? So if this host is live, so that time it will show green. So what will happen now? Your user ID agent is connected to the firewall. So if I refresh connected, so if it is not connected, so you will see a red mark here because it is not live, right? Then you also have one option, some advanced option I'm showing. User ID agent, again it is when for the larger organization. Terminal server agent, this is required when you have something called Linux servers or some Citrix servers. So where on one server multiple users will connected. So in that situation you can use a terminal server agent. So you need to, there is again software, small software. You need to go updates.palo-alto, sorry, support.palo-alto-network.com and install this software, user ID agent software, and install this software on the server. Similarly, terminal server agent also, you will get a small software, go and install on that particular server to use this service. Similarly, group mapping. Group mapping is something, whatever the firewall, um, like all the users group, if suppose you want to use that group into the policy, then you need to buy, like select that group. Okay, this group I want, then you can go and use that group. And Capito portal, this is something very useful. See, you the Palo Alto user ID agents, user ID service, it is only for the Microsoft. Okay, it is only for the Microsoft. What about if you have a Linux servers in in the LAN or Linux users? So in that situation, what you will do? So for firewall, Palo Alto firewall will not identify the Linux user. So in that situation, you need to use the Capito portal. So Capito portal is something, what will happen, the whenever the users, let's say this is a Linux user, and when it go, so firewall will not identify the user IP, it will identify only the IP address, it will not identify the user. Why? Because Linux will not support here Active Directory. So in that situation, what you do, you create a portal here, Capito portal. So KBT portal, when you use the KBT portal, so whenever this guy try to access the internet, they will in a day every time. So when they log in, when they try to open the browser, so they will get one login page. Please provide your username and password. So they will provide the username and password. So like this, the same thing, the firewall will store that username and password, their IP address and the user. That's it. So very simple. Like instead, in that case, it is not dependent on the LDAP or user ID agent or something. It is directly a KBT portal. And this is, remember, KBT portal is something only for the Linux. Terminal service agents, these are for the Citrix servers. But for the normal user ID agent, if you have multiple, you have a multinational company and you have offices across the globe, in that case, user ID agent is required. If no, if you have a like a small organization, 200, 500 users, so no need of this one. These are the optional. So you can just go ahead and with this LDAP will be enough. So what will happen? Your firewall will go to the LDAP and fetch the logs. Got it? So we talk much about app ID and the user ID. Okay, let's talk about the content ID. Okay, before I move, I want to see everyone is live. No one is sleeping. Umar, Hussaini,
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. Ji, I'm live. I'm live, bhai.
Okay. What about Waris and Umar?
Yes, I'm also.
Okay, good. Hussaini bhai, you there? You with me?
Yes, of course. From the start of the session.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. So now I think you are ready to talk about the content ID. Okay, so for the content ID, let me share my screen. Okay, so content ID, it is something, this is the next generation feature. Okay, so we use a security profiles, and when we use the security profiles, we bind it into this our security rules. So actually, if I go and check my firewall, see guys, there is something called when I create any rule. Okay, whenever I'm creating a rule, in the action, you see something here. Can you see here? You will see a profile setting. So profile setting, what is this? If you go to profiles, so you will see these are the next generation features. So these are called a content IDs. Antivirus, vulnerability protection, anti-spyware, URL filtering, file blocking, data filtering, and the wildfire analysis. So these are the options you need to add with your rules, security rules. So it will become, so in the rule, you're adding a user ID capability. You're adding application capability. With that, you are utilizing these all features. So this will become very, very strong rule. So these are the app IDs. So app ID is nothing, sorry, content ID is content of these all features. Okay, and from where we configure this, if you go to object, and there is something called security profiles. Can you see? Antivirus security profile, anti-spyware security profile, vulnerability security profile, URL filtering security profile, file blocking, wildfire, data filtering, and DDoS protection. And when, if you configure this all, and there is something option, instead of using individual things, you can create a group and you can associate all these five, 6 things, and that particular group you can call into the security rule that we are going to understand. Okay, so content ID. So okay, so content ID, whenever we talk about the content ID, okay, so content ID consists of web filtering, URL filtering. Okay, then threat. Threat means vulnerability virus, and spyware. These are types of threats you have. And also files. Files means data. So when let's say one machine is here, one user is trying to, and this is the internet, okay, and here your firewall. So when the packet is go, that firewall is trying to, let's say there's some internet site. So firewall went to internet site, and while coming back, when they're trying to come, so before they go, first your firewall will check which URL he is trying to access. Is it www dot some xyz.com? So firewall will see, is the URL is allowed for him. If yes, then it will proceed, it will allow him to go, otherwise it will block itself. If it is allow, okay, if it is allow, and if he go to the URL, while coming back, the threat will come into picture. While coming back, it will open that packet. 1 second, can you please open the packet? It will open the packet, and it will see, is there any vulnerability signature found there, is any virus attached there? Because while in coming into the packet, when the packet come, so there will be small virus can be present here. So the firewall will see, is there any virus present here? No, it is clean, fine. Is there any spyware is there? Clean, fine. So then, okay, if it is clean, then it will allow him to come back. Similarly, data. If suppose this guy is trying to send something outside, and in the data we say our user cannot send any PDF file outside, or any Word file, or any sensitive data of the company. So we create a data rules here, and when he identify, oh, he's trying to send some PDF file, it will block. And the same thing, you will get a logs in the monitoring tab, that this particular user, he tried to send this data and it got blocked. So now you got a perfect evidence, and now the security team will go and reach out to this guy, why you try to send this particular file, then he has to answer. So this is how the content filtering, content ID utilize. So we need to see these all piece by pieces. So there are some five things under content ID: URL filtering, vulnerability, virus, spyware, and file blocking. Okay. So content ID. So content ID give you real-time threat prevention engine combined with a comprehensive URL database element application identification. Limit authorized data and file transfer. See, it will authorize, only authorized people can send the file transfer. Detect and block exploit malware and malware communication. If anything malware is going on, it will block. Control unapproved web surfing. You can control, okay, social media is blocked in your organization, so any URL related to the social media, it will get blocked. So see, you are securing data, you are securing anything malware related from the malware. Also you are limiting the URL. So you know, most of the time the user, he will try to access some URL, and from that URL some data will come, and that is contain some virus. So with this content ID, you are securing your entire organization. Okay. Apart from this, the application visibility and control, app ID, couple of content inspect, enable content ID, some more things. So you will have a granular control. With that, you can create a policy with the user ID, app ID, and attaching the content ID. It will make you more powerful for security profile, security policy. Okay. Uh, Integrating IPS and anti-malware. Okay, so when we say IPS, okay, intrusion prevention system. Okay, so IPS content of all the signatures, vulnerability signatures, antivirus signatures, those signatures. So how this firewall get the content ID? The same thing. Your firewall is connected to the internet. Okay, and here in everyday updates.polytonnetwork.com, what they do, they will try to see if any virus came, if any vulnerability came, if any like malware came. So they will create a anti-dose here. So what will happen, this firewall will go and fetch those antidotes to him. So what will happen now they fetch. Now when this user he trying to access that particular, he try to download that particular virus. So similar that time the firewall database will see that, oh, this is the virus, so it will block that communication. So this is how content ID work. So in content ID, there are many high perform like anti-spyware. In addition to control virus and malware, content ID stop spyware and malware communication, including these all things come included. Like whether these are types of viruses. This is a botnet, hijacks, adware, backdoor behavior, keylogger. Keylogger, keylogger is something. See, as I told, this is now you are learning a security, core security things you are learning now. So now let's say this is your firewall. Okay, one of the user is sitting here. I will just talk about the keylogger, and there is some internet. So what will happen? So on the internet, one keylogger server will be there. So this user, he is an innocent user. He don't know anything. So he just try to download something and he downloaded. But with that download, some keylogger tool will, keylogger application will also install here, and it will be keep silent here in the system. So user will do normal behavior. So what will happen? Whatever the keyboard keys he try to access, so those logs this guy will try to send to its server frequently. It will try to send. So all the logs will be here. Let's say one of the user he try to if suppose he want to access the bank statement, bank. So what he will do? www.xyzbank.com he will put. Then after that, what will happen? The user ID and password will come. Then he will put the user ID and the password. So those keys will be identified with this keylogger, and it will pass those keys to this server. That's it. So now third person, he know your username and password, and they will do and steal whatever your money, and you will come to know, oh, my something happened. So it happened with the keylogger. So if suppose this keylogger application is trying, so if you have a content ID and keylogger anti-log, so when the keylogger something it try to come to your organization, that time firewall itself will block. Oh no, the keylogger is trying to come, it will block here only. So that's the beauty of this one. Similarly, in a Trojan is there. These are the antiviruses, viruses, and you required an antivirus for that. Okay, so what we do, security profiles. See, the security profiles you need to this, as I said, if you don't use the security profile, then you're using a normal thing like user ID and app ID features only. But this is a unique thing, security profile. If you don't use the security profile in your rule, then your rule is a flat rule. It don't have any next generation capability. So you need to create the antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability, URL filtering. These all profile you need to create, and you need to create a group, and you need to attach here. Okay, attach here this. So security profile look malicious, use allow application. Security profile define which application are allowed. So profile are applied to policy that allow traffic. See, this profile we attach on the policy. Just now we have checked. Okay, so can you see here? Let's say here the profile use the traffic is based on policy allowed. These are some examples, some policies created. Restricted use YouTube. So can you see the trust going to untrust? Application is YouTube. Okay, application default, and here you use a profile group. Similarly, disable Facebook. So to whom you are disabling, from the trust zone, see the user, you use a user some group. Okay, and the application you use Facebook base, this application you use, and you action is block. So now Facebook is blocked for this group. And general access, if general access, what you do, trust, if any guy go to trust internet, so here you attach antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability, and this logo is for, okay. So you attach security profiles here, so you can allow. So disable FB. So app ID block FB for a student user, no URL filtering profile. So can you see here, if you are blocking here, see there are two options. To block the Facebook, you can either block it from the URL filtering or from Facebook application. But as we discuss in the app ID, this will be more granular, because in URL filtering you need to say URL facebook.com. So all entire Facebook will be blocked. Okay, but in the app ID you have option: Facebook chat you want to block, Facebook base you want to block, Facebook post you want to block, Facebook streaming you want to block. Those things, those control you will get here. So see, when I use the app ID, so I don't need to use the profile here. Okay, so we will talk on that. So now URL filtering. URL filtering is something very useful. Okay, see every URL. So there are two things to understand in the URL filtering. URL is called any URL. Okay, let's talk about URL means facebook.com. This is a URL. Then instagram.com, this is the URL. Then linkedin.com, it is a URL. But this all URL, if you see this all URL, they comes under they have the similar behavior. So they create one category. So what is the category? The entire category is nothing but a social media. Under social media category, this all URL comes. So you have option. You have option. Can you see here? Directly you can come here and block the social media. You no need to list out the Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, so blah blah blah. So no need. Directly come and block this category. So entire social media access will be blocked here. No, if you don't want, allow it and block piece by piece, Facebook or this one. So you have that option. Can you see this? You created no Facebook. So here, if you're creating, you're blocking from your filtering end this side, then you need to block directly category. These are the category. So firewall has multiple categories. We will see that. Can you see the society, sports? If you allow or block, if you block the that particular category, all the sports related URL will be get blocked. So you need to define which category is suitable for your organization, which is not. Okay, you can like I will show you that in few minutes. So okay, can you see this? So what I did, I created one URL filtering profile. Okay, and what we did, we restricted social media and we use that particular profile here in that particular rule. So you have that granular option. So again, there is an option called custom category. In the URL filtering, there is something called custom category. So now let's say you block the Facebook, social media, but you want to allow the category is block social media, but you want to allow the LinkedIn. So in that case, what we do is we create some custom category, custom URL. Okay, LinkedIn want to allow, then Instagram is allowed, but Facebook will be like apart from these two URL, whatever the social media, those will be blocked by category. But these two things can be allowed, and this profile called a custom URL, you can go ahead and allow that particular URL category in the URL filtering. Okay, so I will show you that. One second. So let me go to this guy. Okay, so let's talk about here. So before going to URL filtering, let's go one by one. Antivirus. Okay, what you need to do here. So there's a default. See, Palo Alto, they already gave some default things. So either if I go here, click. So okay, let me create the. Can you see threat prevention license required for antivirus, spyware, and vulnerability protection to function? See, if you want to use this, then you need a license. Okay, but we are going to do practice. So let's say I'm creating one profile, antivirus profile. So what do you want? You want to block whenever something go deform, something come, some virus come with the FTP, then block this, reset the both connection. If some HTTP going on, reset it. POP3, if suppose no, you want this SMTP also block, just go here. Can you see allow, alert, drop, client reset, client server reset both? So your like to who will take this decision? Network engineer? No, the security team, which they will say, okay, no, SMTP we want allow. Okay, at least alert we want alert for that, because these logs will go to the syslog servers. We want FTP to be dropped. If anything come with the FTP, drop it. Okay, so use these options. So just just need to select when this type of, let's say, HTTP traffic is going on. So you want, if any virus detected, so the traffic should be blocked. And if you want some virus to be exception, so you need to give that virus threat ID and the name and put that exception. Okay, so now what I did, I created based on my security team, they asked me to do this. Okay, I created one profile. Okay, antivirus P, this is my new profile I created. Let's go to the anti-spyware. Okay, so here multiple options, like by default they give two things. Default means critical, high, medium, low, and strict. Can you see strict means this most of the thing will be blocked. So if you go here, okay, so what it is saying, simple critical, if any anti-spyware simple severity critical come, so it will reset. If any high, reset, medium, reset. But if any informational things come, then only default behavior mean be allow. No, I want medium also be allow. So what I can do, I can clone it, because I want my own, right? So I can clone it and I can give the name here. Okay, anti spyware P, and here I have the option. Can you see simple critical? Simple, whenever the simple critical things come, so just click here. So it will give you what you want. You want to reset both, or what you want. See this option: critical, high, medium, low. So for a critical, see who will decide which which virus, which spyware is critical. So here we are relying on the Palo Alto categories. So Palo Alto, they have their own team, so they decide which vulnerability, which spyware is more dangerous and all. So they will say that, okay, this particular signature is critical, this particular is high. So medium, I want the medium to be default behavior. See, these are the behaviors, default behavior. Then say okay. See, I did some modification here. Okay, in that one, if you want some exceptions, you can go and put the exceptions here. Otherwise it is going to block everything. If any spyware things come, so it is going to block. DNS signature, if you want to use the honeypot, so this is again the security things. So some this is for to block the DNS threats. So you can get some honeypot here. You need to create one things here and allow here. So this is again that particular function is allowed here. DNS signature honeypot, you can use it. So but now you want to use the antivirus spyware, just say whatever the default things we just created this one, say okay. So now your anti spyware is ready. Okay, vulnerability protection. Okay, so again here also default and strict, two things are there. So I want to see in the strict, you have two things. See, in the vulnerability you have if you go here, simple client critical, simple client critical, and can you see client and server? If anything simple client coming from client, what is the severity and what is the reset both, can you see? If anything coming from the server, simple server critical, simple server high, So what decision you want to see? So anything critical, high, medium, going or coming from client or server, any vulnerability, it has to be blocked. So if I want to use this, so I can go ahead and clone it. Okay, so if I come down, I can use it here. I will say vulnerability P. Okay, so no, we want the medium to be allow, let's say. So I will go ahead medium, and instead of reset, I will say default. We want medium to be default from client and as well as the server, because it will it is again, who will decide this one? Your security team. They will say, okay, if any medium severity vulnerability, that is fine, we will see later on. But any vulnerability critical high, we want the firewall to take the decision and reset that. Okay, so it is, you need to decide, your organization need to decide which level of security you want. Okay, now antivirus, anti-spyware vulnerability created. Now you go to the URL filtering. Okay, so now let's say URL filtering, let me, oops, sorry, let me clone it, and let's create our own URL filtering profile. Okay, now let me give the name URL filtering P. Okay, so now in the URL filtering, you need to say, see, anything, any URL related to the abortion, you want to block. Any URL related to the, any URL related to the drugs and all, you need to block. Adult, any URL related to the adult sites, it will be blocked. See, by default, there are some categories already blocked. Remaining, see, gambling. 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry. So, okay, URL filtering. Let's say, see, financial services. All the financial services will be under this one. Gambling, it is already blocked. Games, you don't want your any URL related to games. You don't want to be allowed in your organization. Block it. Any government site is okay. Allow. Come down. Health and medicine is fine. Then come down. Internet communication, telephony. See, you don't want any user, they call WhatsApp call or internet and things and all. Job search, see, job portal, naukri.com, monster.com, you don't want your organization, the people sitting in your organization search another jobs. Legal, malware is already blocked. Military sites. Then music, you want allow, okay, fine. News is fine. Nudity, can you see, anything come under nudity, you want to block, right? Peer to peer, BitTorrent will come into the peer-to-peer. You don't want any peer-to-peer communication to be allowed. So your security team will decide which level of things you want: weapons, travel, society, social networking. See, all your things will come into the social networking. You want to block it. So you created this profile, say okay. Okay, now 3 profile came. Then file blocking. File blocking is something which PDF, okay, let's say file blocking P. So let's say PDF. If any application, if you want to, if anyone want to share something called, can you see PDF? See, PDF file, you don't want PDF to be in both direction, from internet or internet to from inside to outside, outside to inside. What action you want, we want block. Similarly, you can add some more thing. Let's say instead of PDF, let's say files. So you want, no, you don't want PDF to be allow. Also, you can add some more here, PDF, then TXT, PPTX. See, PPTX is nothing but a PPT. So this you don't want people to allow. So you added here file blocking. Can you see? Wildfire analysis. Wildfire we will talk tomorrow. Then data filtering. Data filtering is something very useful. Data filtering is again it is again some patterns related. Let's say you don't want people to send any confidential information from your organization. Like what type of confidential information? Some, let's say, data pattern. You need to create some data pattern. So some data like serial SSN number, or some bank account, some let's say I'm creating let's say Aadhaar card. Like let's we are in India, so we don't want people to send some Aadhaar card. So how when the people try to send Aadhaar card, so what will be like what type of Aadhaar card number will be? So there will be some number, right? So what we do is we create some regex star dot something, you know. Again, this is very high level of security things. Okay, let's say weight is 1. So you created some regex. So if any guy, if they try to send some Aadhaar card detail, so those will get, those information will get blocked. So those things data called a data filtering. So this is something, again, who will decide which you want to use the data pattern and all. So your security team, they decide which type of data filtering you want. Okay, so this is again this is something you required a patterns and all. It required a regex and very high level of things required. So right now let's ignore it. So it is again required. DDoS protection, if you want to use. So DDoS protection is something if anything, if any UDP flood, or if any type of attack, sync flood, it is coming with this many packets they try to send, so you can block it. UDP packet, if someone trying to send this many packet, limitation is there. You can maximum block in 300. ICMP flood, if someone want to attack from outside and down your server, so that time you can limit this one, and you can put it on your profile. So you can create this one. So these are called profiles, and you can create a security profile group. So what you can do is you can create a group, sec group. Okay, so whatever we created in antivirus, we created antivirus P, we can attach here. Anti-spyware P profile, URL profile, vulnerability profile, URL filtering profile, then file blocking profile. Data filtering, if you don't create, then leave it as it is. A wildfire, you don't create, leave it as it is. Just say okay. So now you created a security profile, you created a group also. Now go to how to use it. Go to the profiles. Now security policy. Let's say general internet access. Okay. So internet access, what you the people will come from inside to, they want to go to outside. Okay. And application is, again, if you want to create the application, let's say web browsing, and also SSL. SSL is nothing but the HTTP or HTTPS. Service is fine. Now action, allow, but see, if I use a profiles, so I can give this profile one by one: antivirus profile, vulnerability profile, anti-spyware profile, URL filtering profile, file blocking profile, and these things. Similarly, you can create a log whenever this rule hit. Okay, so these logs you can forward to your syslog server. You can create a syslog server, let's say. So what do you want? You want to send this to traffic syslog. So you have a syslog server here. Similarly, threat setting. What do you want? Threat, you want I want all these critical and high threats to send to my syslog. Similarly, wildfire also, I want, if any malicious things come, I want to send to my syslog. So I'm just and if the same thing, if you want to send to panorama, you need to check this one: panorama, and panorama. So same log will say from firewall, it will send to panorama as well as syslog server. Say okay. So now your next generation rule is ready here. See, now you created a profile here. So similarly, if I clone it, okay, if suppose I am, instead of individual profiles, what I can do, instead of picking the individual profile, I can see a group, and I will attach here this one. So see, these two rules are same, because instead of adding this all individually, I can attach this one. So you have an option. If suppose you want to use only single thing, you can use that single profile, or if you want a global group, you can use the group. So guys, this is called a next generation security profile. See, this, for this particular feature, this is nothing but core security stuffs, antiviruses and all. So from where you will see the antiviruses and all. So in the device, if you go here in the dynamic updates, so every day new signatures will come here, and app, thread, those content ID. So those information will get fulfilled to your firewall here, and those action will be taken in the security policy, what we decide, security profile. And this security profile we attach into our security policy. See, they all are related to each other. So this is a security profile. So this all thing called content ID. Okay. So user ID, app ID, and the content ID. And obviously it required some knowledge of the security stuffs. If you already work on IPS, IDS, so you will understand very clearly that, okay, what antivirus signature is, what is vulnerability signature is. But still, if you are not aware, you can learn it. What is antivirus, what is vulnerability, what is URL filtering, because as we discussed in so there is a URL filtering, there is separate technology, separate devices are there. They take Blue Coat is there, Cyberarm is there, so they just take care of the antivirus URL filtering stuff. Similarly, file blocking for antivirus IPS is required. But in this Palo Alto firewall, everything you are doing, it take care of the URL filtering also, it take care of the IPS also, it take care of the network firewall also, it take care of the app ID, it take care of the user ID, many things it does, right? So any questions? So I'm done for the day. We will continue tomorrow. So any questions for today? Maybe you should take break, and this video is, again, it is recorded, so you can go and watch again, and you can come back with the questions tomorrow. That will be fine.
Only one question.
Okay.
We have to selectively apply these policies, or it is globally applied to all the traffic, all the application traffic or web.
Okay. Good question. So see here, whatever the profile you created, okay, this profile, if it is applied on the security rule, then only it will applicable. See from here, if suppose, so that's why globally, when you say any, so this is a global rule, so this is applicable for all. But if you specify the user group, then it will be for that particular user group only, right? If you are specifying some xyz user to allow that particular profile, so that will be again this one. So when the term called any, then it is a global. So this is just an example I have given, but in the organization you will have a granular groups. So that particular group you attach this one, you particular group this one. But in organization they will you will have some standards of the that will be applicable for all the users. Some security groups, okay, this antivirus, spyware, critical is block, or high is block, medium is also. So these are the standards of antiviruses. So those will be global, and that you have to use for all the users.
Nadeem,
Yeah,
can I have question?
yeah, sure.
What I was thinking is, like, in this profile we have seen how to block PDF files
Hmm.
and text files, and as well as whether we have to block SMTP traffic or not, or if we, like for example, if SMTP, in SMTP, what particular should we block, uh, or else in PDF or text, can we block a particular volume, like for example, in a 2 MB files, 3 MB files are allowed, 10 MB files are not allowed. Can we do that too?
Hmm.
Can we do that too also? In a volume, can we specify the volume of the files allowed or not allowed?
Okay, those granular control, yeah, it has those granular control. Volume, okay, when you say no, those volume control we don't have. If anything, PDF, PPTX, if it identify that particular file extension, it will block. In the file
That means,
blocking,
yeah, that means completely blocking.
yeah, completely.
We cannot, either allow 5 MB files
No, 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 no.
and
Okay,
deny
those things.
10 MB files. It cannot be done.
Okay, 1 second. So that option, it is somewhere. That volume, when you say the volume, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Content ID. Okay, can you see here? Content ID setting, allow forwarding, decrypt, text forwarding.
Like in a particular attachment size.
No. I think those. No. We don't have that option
We
for
don't
the
have
for
that
text.
option.
We don't have that option.
Yeah, and
There are-
also like for example, internet access.
Mhm.
Like, can we block in a particular in a size, in a, like a user can access per week this much of internet access.
Yeah. That can be done on the quality of service, QS.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, QS you can use here. Let's say limit YouTube. Okay, so quality of service we talk, right? So
Okay.
if suppose
Understood.
any user, destination, application, and here we decide we decide the class. Let's say the corporate application, they will get a first bandwidth. The second bandwidth should be this one. And if they left with some bandwidth, then they can access the YouTube streaming. So this
Okay.
QoS can be done. Again, as I told, the QoS, again, it is a very vast technology, very big
Yes.
thing there.
In
So
our company, they were having Blue Code and they were doing this through Blue Code. So do we have this kind of features in Palo Alto as well?
yes, it can does a QoS. By QoS, you can control the speed like 10 MB, 20 MB, those much. But see,
per user,
yes,
user. Yeah, that is integrated by again user ID. Like
yes,
Pro
exactly.
ActuDeck.
You see, whenever you create anything, so here you need a user ID. See,
Yes.
user ID, also application app ID,
Right.
right? Then you can create a filters. So guys, this is a content ID. We will talk more on tomorrow. Also, we'll continue on content ID. We'll see some more stuffs. But this is, see, if you see here, the Palo Alto dashboard, we understand. ACC we understand. Okay, monitor, in the monitor, see, if any threat you want to threat logs you want to see threat, URL filtering logs you want to see URL filtering, data filtering logs you want to see, you can see here. Or see, these are, you're getting PDF files and all. Then in the device we understand most of the tabs here, what they required. In the network side you have interface, zone, virtual routers and all. And only this is something global, but this is a VPN related setting. These settings are VPN related settings. We'll talk on that. In object, see, in object most of the things we covered, but this was the biggest one. And the log forwarding, which we just created a log forwarding, right, to send syslog information. Log forwarding, we left with the decryption, that we will talk on that. Then hip profile, this is again a feature which is okay, we'll give some, we can talk on that also. Tomorrow we'll just have a look on what is the custom profile, how we create. And in the profile, if you go to the policies, security policy, NAT policy, QoS, and decryption, we'll talk on that. Capital portals, this. So if you look here, so most of every service we are touching, we are trying to touch each and every tabs, and every tab has its own technology behind it. Got it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow same time, and please don't miss the class, because very important topics are going on. So if you miss the class, it will be difficult for you in future. Okay, so yeah, we'll stop here. Shahid,
Yeah,
yeah, you can stop recording and you can upload it on YouTube.
actually, I make you host. You
Okay,
can-
sure. Thank you. Thanks all. Bye. So,
Thank you, Salam.
Walaikum salam. So Shahid, I need to. I think I am the host. I need to stop the recording. What?
Yeah, you can stop the recording.
Stop recording. Okay.